Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I'm your host, Joe Tweeton, and joining me today are the full quattro of nerds in today's episode. Guys, I have with me the Nick Thomas.
Hey guys, what's up?
Welcome back, sir. This will be fun. Also joining us is the Matthew Johnson. Is this a bad time to call on you, sir?
Do what? Sorry.
You're just in the middle
My
of the...
dog keeps walking across.
Oh no, anyone on YouTube can see this right now. Matthew has a massive dog crossing his path.
I have a Great Dane, for those that are listening. He's 2 years old and 175 pounds.
And massive. Lay
it down, please.
Last but not least, we have the Lynn Dudgeon.
Hey-o.
Welcome.
What's up?
Welcome. My fellow brethren and nerd at arms. Guys, if this ends up being a multi-part thing, you'll have seen in the thumbnail clicking on this that this is our Rick and Morty deep dive part 2. In our previous session, we covered the origins of the show, and we broke down pretty much the entire season 1 and our favorite moments from season 1.
Correct.
And Matt had to bail out the last couple episodes, but he's joining us for the part 2 at least. This we will be covering all of season 2 to the best of our ability in a similar fashion as season 1. So guys, yeah, let's just jump right in. Not too much, because we're pretty much just picking up right where we left off. Just as a recap for Matthew, the last episode of season 1, bunch of shenanigans and a party ensued, basically leaving their house literally in shambles, a complete mess, and Jerry and Beth were literally minutes away from coming home, back from their little excursion, and Rick basically offers them the opportunity to clean up the house at the expense of freezing time. So he freezes time, and they spend 6 months getting the house completely fixed, repaired, and everything put back in its place. That was the finale of season 1, or the overall plot. Because season 2 is going to drop us right into the aftermath of said finale. And in fact, there will be a direct consequence to the last season that we're going to kick right into here. So, that being said, I'm going to... Matthew, do you want to do... or are you at a good spot to read some of these like you did last time?
See, I would, but my phone just died, and my charger is not here.
Alright then. We'll just read them off to you. We'll take turns reading off the different synopses for each episode, and we'll just watch your reactions to those said descriptions.
Sounds good.
Season 2, I'll kick things off. Season 2, Episode 1, A Rickle in Time. Now, out of all the episodes on here, this has the longest description on IMDb, surprisingly. Having restarted time, Rick, Morty, and Summer are in a quantum, uncertain state of existence. An argument leads to the creation of 2 alternate timelines, which need to be stitched back together fast if they are to escape quantum collapse. Dun dun dun. Pretty epic kickoff. Nick or Lynn. Do you want to add any more details to the plot? Because it's been a while since I rewatched season 2, so I'm a little fuzzy on some of the extra things that happened in that episode.
Yeah. This episode was kind of funny. It's kind of a Rick overload. Because they keep making multiple different universes.
Right.
And they're like, I think it start off by splitting the screen just horizontally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It flips Morty and Summer.
Yeah.
The first scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's a couple sentences that describe a little bit of that situation you just said, just to give some clarity here. It says that after splitting the times, Rick becomes paranoid, thinking that his duplicates want to kill him. After calming down, a creature in charge of safeguarding time appears and gives them collars that integrate all the timelines. Then attempts to arrest them because Rick stole the time-freezing crystal. Rick, Morty, Summer show uncertainty on purpose and break the collars, splitting into 64 timelines. And they simultaneously beat up the same creature, all these split timelines. So they try to integrate all the timelines. In one timeline, Rick attempts to sacrifice himself and let Morty live by giving him his collar, but ultimately he survives too. And while all this is happening, we've got Beth and Jerry hit a deer, so they bring him to the animal hospital. A hunter claims the deer for his own because he shot it before the accident. And then Beth is able to save the deer's life and release it. So that was kind of like a very small B plot.
Hold on. In addition to that B plot, Jerry tricks Beth by bringing in the best elk. What were the other ones? There were a few other specialists that Jerry brought in, and come to find out they were all members of like an ice cream parlor or something, like an ice cream truck. But Beth ultimately ends up being the one that saves the deer.
Yeah, I remember that. This one was a really wacky kickoff for season 2.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, so this had a really great, like, psychological callback in this episode. Once the garage completely falls apart, Rick falls through time and space and ends up going through the whole Schrodinger's cat scenario where time is this is real and not real, you're dead and alive all at the same time episode. And then,
yeah.
And then Rick uses his scientific brain to go, this is just retarded. The cat can't be dead and alive at the same time. He goes, just open the box. And I think at one point in the multiple timelines, he opens the box. And in one of them, the cat is dead in the box. And in the other one, the cat is alive in the box.
Yeah.
All while there's cats in the background while he's falling. It was great.
Yeah, that one was funny. The Rick just kind of going nuts from all the different timelines splitting.
I thought the funniest part of the whole thing was actually the after credit scene. The aliens, the fourth dimensional alien beings, they go through all of Earth's time and history to try to find Rick and stop him from doing it. And they stumble upon someone they think is him, but it's actually a young Albert Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat the crap out of him, warning him not to mess with time. And his result from that is he comes up with E equals MC square out of spite.
Yeah. Well, if there's no other honorable mentions, we'll keep moving forward, guys. Because there's a few episodes in the middle of this season to get that are some of my favorites. We've got the episode 2 Morty Night Run. Rick and Morty try to save a gas life form while Jerry resides in a daycare made for Jerry's. This one was a pretty special B plot for Jerry.
It is affectionately called Jerry Brie.
Is it supposed to be like a multiplicity or something?
No, it's just alternate Ricks from other universes leave Jerry at this daycare while they go off and do their own adventures. It's like part of the multiverse. So
the thing that Nick was getting at is that the daycare is called Jerry Brie, like a jamboree.
Yeah.
Daycare centers.
Yep.
It's a great play on words right there.
So the episode starts off with Rick and Morty go on a trip to teach him how to pilot a flying car. Jerry stowed away in the back seat, and so they get caught up in some shenanigans, and they decide to Rick decides to leave Jerry in a daycare designed for Jerry's from alternate realities. Meanwhile, Jerry socializes with other Jerrys, some of them left there indefinitely because their Rick or Morty never returned. Meanwhile, one of the more action-packed plots through this episode, we have Rick selling an antimatter gun to Crombopulus Michael, an alien assassin who intends to use it to eliminate a gaseous being whom Rick nicknames Fart, that is held captive by alien authorities. Rick plans to spend the day at Blips and Chits video arcade, but Morty decides to stop the assassin. After Rick and Morty release Fart, they're chased by the authorities. Fart uses telepathic powers to kill the authorities, which also leads to civilian casualties. Later, Morty learns that Fart wants to eliminate all carbon-based life forms. Morty then kills Fart using Chromopulus's Michael's antimatter gun. This is one of those situations where Morty's empathy gets in the way of what's really going on, and he takes for granted an alien that seemingly needs his help, and in trying to help him, he realizes that this alien isn't so defenseless, and his plans are galactically nefarious. You know, where
the voice of Fart is Jermaine Clement, if I remember right, the guy who plays Tamatoa in Moana, and he's also Boris the Animal in Men in Black 3.
Fart, Jermaine Clement, yeah. Oh, I remember. I recognize him.
Also from Flight of the Conchord.
Yeah. He played Tamatoa.
Tamatoa, the crab.
Oh, the big crab.
That's the big crab.
Bioluminescent algae.
Yeah, he was in Flight of the Conchords, What We Do in the Shadows, and Men in Black 3 as some recent side notes.
What We Do in the Shadows is a great one. Vampire parody.
Yeah.
No,
Shining.
and hey, he wasn't trying to kill and eliminate all of the universe. He was trying to cure the universe of carbon-based life forms.
Yeah, cure.
Yes, we stand corrected, Nicholas.
His definition of cure.
Well, he's
Her
got.
definition.
I mean,
how come it sounds different when you say it?
well,
Is he
and
basically trying to play Thanos?
dang it, you took it before I could get to it. I was just about to say he's playing a Thanos card here.
But we also got to realize where Chromopulus Michael got his gun from.
Yeah.
Rick
sold it to him.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
All to play a game that we're introduced to, and it actually makes reference to this game multiple times within the season.
Oh, yeah.
Called Roy, A Life Well Lived. quite literally, you play the character Roy in the game and choose how he lives his life.
Isn't that's coming up, right? In one of these episodes? I think it's in season 2.
That was this episode.
Oh, was this the one where Morty throws
Mm-hmm.
on a VR headset and lives an entire life?
Yes.
And then Rick pulls him out of it, and suddenly he's mortified that whole life he lived and had got married and everything and was all a lie.
But Rick was the one that sold the gun to be able to play the game
Yeah.
at a video arcade called
Blips.
Blips and Chits.
Chits.
Blips
Mhm.
and chits.
Blip.
Blips and chits. That's the currency in the Pocket Morty's game. Was blips and chips.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That game
All right.
is fun. But moving on, guys.
Anything else on this episode?
Any other favorite moments? Are we good?
Good to go.
Let's see.
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Oh,
Oops.
Autoerotic assimilation.
this is a great one.
Yep, the IMDb description offers no help here, so I'm just going to skim over the longer notes.
Rick and Morty and Summer stumble on a hive mind named Unity that Rick used to date. Summer objects to Unity's control over an alien planet's population. Does that work?
Sure. Are you reading that off of something, or are you just summarizing based on what you remember?
I'm on the Rick and Morty fandom page.
Oh. Well.
Dun, dun, dun.
That works.
It actually has a whole layout of the plot and everything else. But we can erase that so they don't need to know the behind the scenes.
I don't care, dude. Yeah, we would have taken notes one way or another.
This episode is fun and dark.
Sorry, what?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I said this episode was fun and dark at the same time.
Oh, fun and dark. Yeah. I thought you said fun in the dark, and I'm like, why are you watching this in the dark, buddy? The first interesting thing, I think, from a sociological standpoint in this show is they come down to this planet, they start interacting with the people of this planet, and I think, is it after Rick meets up with Unity and he decides to spend time with Unity that Summer and Morty are down on the planet interacting with these people, and then suddenly they start getting a little aggravated with each other, and it's because Unity is being distracted or something like that by Rick, right? Do you know where I'm leading with this? There's 2 races of people on this planet, and they're all unified by the brainwaves of Unity, hence her name, and why everyone gets along just fine. But once she starts getting distracted, the people start getting into a race war and start trying to kill each other because deep down, without Unity, they all hate each other, but all their minds are linked to Unity. It's like a hive mind storyline. And so everyone on the planet's peaceful until she's distracted by Rick, who basically is getting down and dirty with her again. Basically causing an interruption in her hive mind capacity, causing all these people to start getting angry and attacking each other again. So that was kind of a fascinating point to this whole thing. What was that? Let's jump into your favorite moments or points, guys. This one's a pretty familiar episode, I think. Cricket.
I didn't watch it, so I can't say. I can't answer this.
That's why I said Nick and Lynn, because they...
Probably one of my favorite moments in this is you realize the extent of Rick's sexual promiscuity with the fact that he's not limited to pretty much anything.
Oh, what did he say when he was going to this arena? Like, did she challenge him or something? Or he made a challenge or something about... What was it? He wanted to relive a fantasy of his, and it was some awkward thing about going to an arena and basically having sex in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It was
talking about?
something like that.
It was something
So
screwed up.
he's a voyeur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty shady.
In this episode, we meet another AI that is interested in Unity, kind of a rival for Rick, called Beta 7.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He was kind of
Weird.
funny. He's voiced by Patton Oswalt.
Nice.
Yep.
And his just listening to him is kind of funny all the time because he has certain mannerisms when he talks, and it led to an awkward AI, which made a lot of sense.
Oh, yes, it did.
It's the friend zone AI.
Mm-hmm.
Patton Oswalt's that short guy, right? That
Yeah.
has a... Yeah.
Yes, sir. If there's nothing else you guys want to touch on, we'll keep moving.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
When you said like the whole like, live mind or whatever the heck you
Hive
called
mind.
it.
Hive mind,
Hive mind.
like the Borg from Star Trek. They're all connected.
Yeah. All of a sudden in my head, I'm thinking of like freaking the Queen and Data.
That's exactly what this was trying
Yeah.
to make fun of.
Yep. Yeah, it was a
That's
very...
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, guys...
How
Oh, sorry, go on.
how long were you thinking about? I was just gonna quote that part of Star Trek.
Oh,
How long were you actually were thinking about it? 0.0675 seconds. And for an android, that's an eternity.
excellent quote.
I'm sitting here going, what? Anyways.
That some of those things got pretty deep. Star Trek got deep. Just like Rick and Morty get deep at times.
All right.
Speaking
Our
of
next episode.
Episode 3? Or is this 4 now? 1, 2, 3. Total Recall.
Oh,
Total
4.
Recall.
This is episode 4.
Episode 4. You want me to read the synopsis, or do you got one?
I'll read it real quick. One of my favorite characters is introduced into this episode. The family battles a parasite that implants fake memories into their heads, which leads them to wonder if their friend, Mr. Poopy Butthole, is real. And it's right there in the synopsis. One of my long-running favorite characters in the whole series is Mr. Poopy Butthole. I know you never thought you'd hear me say that, Matthew. Matthew, for you listeners out there that can't see him, he's got his arms up in the air.
No. As soon as I heard of the name of this, I'm like, so it's basically going to be a spoof of Total Recall?
Kind of and kind of not.
It plays on a lot of those themes. It's not like a direct rip from the movie. But like with any Rick and Morty episode, It pulls from several sources of pop culture.
This is also one of the more bloody episodes.
Yeah, this is one of the more violent ones, definitely.
More bloody and mind.
So how does this go, guys? Just like for Matthew's understanding, basically there's a parasite that's creating bad memories of each other, right?
Well,
Or fake memories.
yeah, you got to start by saying at the beginning, Rick brings something home and he tells Morty to leave it alone because it has the parasite in it, but yet Morty doesn't listen, so the parasite gets loose in the house, and then once Rick realizes it, it's way too late.
Right.
It's already started multiplying.
Yeah, and it says that every time the family reminisces about the past, the aliens reproduce. And they start getting confused. They can't distinguish real people from the aliens because more and more people keep coming into their house, talking like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in forever," or friends and family.
Like, what's his face? The weird uncle that nobody knew that was actually part of the family.
Fake Uncle Steve. The only alien present is fake Uncle Steve. They are soon joined by other aliens, including Cousin Nikki, Sleepy Gary, who poses as Beth's husband and Jerry's lover, the family butler, Mr. Beauregard, Frankenstein's monster, a talking pencil named Pensylvester, Tinkles the fairy lamb, and then, of course, Mr. Poopy Butthole is an unusual yellow creature who did not appear in any previous episode, but appears to be a longtime friend.
And towards the end, you also get Meat Samurai.
One of the things I gotta say that was interesting about this episode, they changed the intro specifically for this episode, and they threw Mr. Poopy Butthole in all the scenes.
I know, I saw that online. I'm like, I have to rewatch this now. Yeah. But yeah, they inserted him into all these different scenes of the intro of the show. One of my favorite moments is towards the end, when a certain Mr. Poopy Butthole is shot by Beth. And instead of revealing that it was a parasite, he just falls to the floor, grabs himself, and he's actually bleeding, and he turns out to not be an alien, or not be an alien parasite, and Beth is basically emotionally upset that she actually hurt someone in real, like, that was real. And in the post-credit scene for this one, I thought it was funny. It's Mr. Poopy Butthole goes through physical therapy, and Beth tries to apologize, but is just basically emotionally messed up over it.
Well, the funny thing is, the main reason why Beth shoots Mr. Poopy Butthole is they have no bad memories of him. So he gets shot because they had good times. Come on, Beth, you neurotic freak.
Yeah. How many times can we say Mr. Poopy Butthole in this episode?
I don't know, but it's a funny name.
I do feel like we need to remember this name because he will be a clever plot device in the next season, and the season after that, and
in a end of the finale of the entire season 2, or at the end of season 3.
I also have a weird feeling that this will lead to a weird dream sequence episode come season 4 or season 5 if it happens.
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yes, I look forward to his future appearances.
What was his name again, Joe?
Mr.
Oh, okay. So wait, how did you say it again?
I said Mr.
Wait, you mean Mr. Poopy Butthole?
Yeah, Mr.
How come it sounds different when you say it?
I don't know. I'm just saying Mr.
Alright, fair enough. But I mean, it's Mr. Poopy Butthole.
I know, I said
not
Mr.
Not whatever you're saying.
God dang it, Lynn.
Alright, y'all ready to get swifty?
Yeah, let's move on. Enough of this, Mr.
Okay, no. One more Mr. Poopy Butthole before we go. Come episode 8 of this season, there is something that I would like to bring back to light about this character. So,
yes, it's a
hold on.
Okay.
Hold on to that.
Okay.
Let's go.
Episode 5. Get Swifty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got to get Swifty. Yeah.
Show me how you do that thing. Go ahead, Nick. I'll let you read this one.
When an alien entity appears with musical demands, Rick and Morty call on Ice-T to help them write a tune for an intergalactic song competition.
Nicely spoke.
We get a lot of, pardon the way I'm saying this, head in this movie, in this show episode.
Well,
in this episode.
We do. There's a literal alien head that appears over Earth. And it starts
multiple gigantic alien heads.
And it starts interfering with Earth's gravity and spawning several global disasters in the process.
Show me what you got.
Then Rick travels to the Pentagon to inform the President of the United States that the alien head is a Cromulon, and it seeks a live performance of a catchy new song.
But the thing is, when it first appeared, a big earthquake happened at the Grammy presentations, killing all the famous musicians.
Yeah.
Including, but not limited to, Pharrell, Randy Newman, Billy Corgan, and The Dream. With the exception of Ice-T, of course, who survived the earthquake.
Oh, yeah.
So, they compose this song, Get Swifty. The head ends up being pleased and transports the entire Earth to an intergalactic musical competition viewed by more Cromulons, more floating heads, where the losers' planets are obliterated. Rick then tells the president that any astronauts they had in orbit at the time are dead. Because he teleported the Earth away.
Earth, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, any standout moments? I mean, the end is funny.
Yeah, when we find out about Ice-T.
When he transforms.
He's a freaking alien.
It's like the whole Men in Black thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dennis Rodman, I knew he was an alien.
Or there's the side story when Beth and Jerry think that they need to pray to the beings.
And Summer.
And Summer. And they start sacrificing things that they think would appease the heads. And what was it? It was a goth, a thief, and what was the middle one?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I don't fucking remember either. But it's a wicked parody of America's Got Talent and American Idol.
Yeah, I just don't remember who they sacrificed.
Oh,
it's been a while since I've seen. I actually have the episode going in the background as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I do this with each episode.
Really?
Pulling from the source material.
Yep.
There you go.
Next episode, I'll read you this one. Episode 5?
6.
Episode 6.
Crazy.
The Ricks must be crazy. So, when Rick's car breaks down, he and Morty go inside its battery. Now, car, they say car, but it's his flying saucer.
Mm-hmm.
They go inside its battery. Like, they shrink down to a microscopic level to go inside the battery. Morty discovers that Rick has created a miniature universe inside the battery. This plays on a lot of pop culture, a lot of sci-fi parody in this.
Wait.
It's a bit.
Before we get into that, though, something happens.
Oh, wasn't Summer with them?
Summer was with them. They're going to go into the microverse, and
there's a B plot
Rick
with
tells her to stay in the ship, and he tells the ship to keep Summer safe.
Oh my God!
This
If
is
we're
an
gonna
episode
talk
we
about
find
highlights.
out how powerful the ship is.
So, real quick, let's.
Yeah.
I don't want to read blow by blow on this episode, but I remember enough of this episode that I just want to kind of touch on the two big concepts for what Rick and Morty shows do best, where they take a high concept and kind of it almost is mind blowing at first, especially your first time ever watching the episode. Just like kind of like the repercussions of what's actually happening here. Because at first we have Rick and Morty go into the microverse and they talk to the people there. First comical moment is right when he steps out of the door of his ship. He basically gives the people the birdie greeting, flips them off, and Morty's like, "What are you doing, Rick?" What? He says something like, "Oh, it's okay, Morty. I told them that this. What is it? I told them that this means peace and love or something like that."
This means we come in peace, Morty. This probably means we come in peace.
They're just flipping them off because this group of aliens is an entire civilization that Rick created, and so they don't know any better. So Rick just says, "Yeah, this means this means that," and basically he has them all running treadmills to power his battery. So, like, they're told that they need to run on these treadmills on a daily basis to keep their city powered. And what they don't realize is that powering their city is powering Rick's battery to his flying car. And there's a few instances where Morty is just constantly questioning Rick, like, that this isn't right. This is enslavement, basically. And he's like, no, it's okay. They... to the effect of, like, you know, they don't...
But this is almost like microverse inception, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because this is what I was leading to, is Rick was saying something along the lines of, it's okay, it's not enslavement, they're doing it to benefit themselves, kind of a thing. It's not, you know, he kept trying to talk around the idea of it's not really enslavement. And then he talked to and then the mayor of the town says, "Rick, we've discovered a new source of power." Basically saying they don't need to run on these treadmills anymore because their leading scientist has come up with a battery. And little do those people know that this leading scientist has pulled a Rick on Rick and created his own microverse to power their city. So the microverse people have created, the only leading scientist knows about this. He's created a microverse,
a teenyverse,
where he's got a teenyverse where these single-celled organisms are also doing something similar to the treadmill running, where they're powering their city, which powers their battery, which powers the microverse's city, which in turn is not powering Rick's car anymore because they're not using the treadmills that Rick provided for them. Mm-hmm. So Rick's like, I gotta fix this. And basically has to put a stop to the microverse's microverse.
Yep. No, and the alien scientist's name is Zeep Zanflorp, and he is played by Stephen Colbert.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Nice. It's sounds like an interesting episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things here.
Oh, but let's quickly touch on the B plot, where we've Summer's been left behind with the ship.
I actually like the B plot better than the main plot on this one.
It got me laughing a little harder. Just seeing what Summer had to deal with, being locked in the spaceship, and the AI of the ship is told to protect her no matter what. And so these different people keep trying to bug her, bother her. What was it? What was the first thing? Was it some thugs?
The first guy, it was just a white dude in a white shirt comes up and, like, making her feel uncomfortable, and he, like, becomes really hostile. And the ship has arms that come out and cuts him into a whole bunch of little pieces with lasers. And she just freaks out, and this skinnier dude comes up, and it's about to do the same thing, but she pleads with it not to kill him. So instead, it, like, shoots him in the spine and paralyzes him. And then it just escalates.
Yeah, let me read this a little bit here. There's a whole summary of the B plot here, because I think this is I mean, Summer cowers in fear as the police approach her and the ship. The ship then calls out a number of weapons, but as Summer commands the ship to cause no one any harm, the ship calls off its weapons. An armed officer nears the ship with two other armed officers. After scanning the first one, the ship then sends out a capsule that rolls towards the police. It opens to reveal a child named Hunter, the late son of the center officer who died at the age of only 7 years old after being drowned in a swimming pool. The center officer then approaches his son and commands the police to cease fire as he talks with his son. Hunter then asks his father to leave Summer alone shortly before dissipating into a pinkish liquid. The ship makes a final threat that then wards off the officers, horrifying Summer even further. So basically, the ship created a fake child of one of the officers who lost his child. And it's just, the ship just does this mind fuck of a thing to all these people that keep trying to come out, try to tell Summer to get out, step out of the vehicle, please. And she's like, I can't, because the ship's locked her in there. Yeah, it got pretty messy, all the way up until, Rick and Morty finally came back. One of my favorites of the season, though, this particular episode. Nicholas, why didn't you carry us into the next episode?
Next episode, Big Trouble in Little Sanchez. This may be one of my favorite iterations of Rick. Let me correct myself. I
forgot about this. This is a youthful take.
Summer asks her grandfather Rick to transport his mind into a teenager to shield her from vampires at school. Jerry and Beth go to off-planet marriage counseling.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that's
this
right. This is actually one of the episodes I actually watched.
I know. This is Tiny
Nice.
Rick, sir.
Tiny Rick! I'm gonna play a song. It goes down deep. It just needs to be said. I wanna die. I'm getting killed in here. I feel alone. The darkness is creeping in.
No, Summer thinks there's a vampire at school, and it turns out there actually is. Coach Ferratu.
Yes, Ferratu.
Yeah.
A little bit on the
Why
nose,
didn't he
but
change
yes.
his name to something different? Why did he use that name? That sounds like a vampire name. Why couldn't he be like Dr. or Coach Johnson?
Yeah.
No, and it turns out that Tiny Rick is extremely popular at the school.
Yeah.
And Summer tries to get him expelled. And it's just a funny play on what Rick is able to do with his mind as a child. And just the shenanigans that go along with that are pretty funny. But I honestly think, again, the B plot in this, Jerry and Beth's marriage counseling, is
Oh gosh.
one of the more messed up things we've encountered.
This basically, this alien counselor, Glexo Slim Slom, puts Jerry into a helmet, which generates Jerry's perception of Beth, which we end up seeing as a monstrous creature.
It's a freaking xenomorph that looks like Beth. What the?
Yeah,
I was
and
gonna
then
say
Beth,
it's like the queen freaking alien, man.
Yep.
Then when Beth puts on the helmet, it creates a weak worm version of Jerry.
Quite literally, a worm.
Yep.
A tiny little worm. And so that's just a really interesting, it's just like giving the audience a very painted clear picture of how messed up their marriage is.
Well, it's kind of awkward too, because whenever the worm gets threatened, he turns and like
Puts his butt
assumes a
up in the
position
air.
and puckers his butt at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And interesting and entertaining. If you guys don't have anything else on it, we'll crush these last 3 episodes. This is one that Lynn wanted to spend a little time on, and it's a nice callback and a continuation from an episode in season 1, where we kind of misthought what scenes happened in which, because both episodes kind of covered a lot of the same ground. But we have episode 8, Interdimensional Cable 2, Tempting Fate. Jerry is rushed to an alien hospital when he eats ice cream Rick was using to develop dangerous bacteria. Rick rigs the hospital cable box. So those are your 2 plots. Jerry goes into an ICU situation after being infected with some crazy alien bacteria. Meanwhile, Rick decides to dive back into watching some interdimensional cable. So, again, like the first one, all these different commercials and shows are literally just Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon just complete ad-libbing ideas, doing different voices, and the animators just animated scenes based on their ad-libs. Complete off-the-cuff improv, basically, coming up with random ideas in the recording booth. So that's where we get our interdimensional cable, and it shines just as brightly in the sequel here. What are some high points that you guys want to bring up? I know Lynn wanted to dive into some of these.
Well, the one that I wanted to get into is at the end, so...
Yeah.
Okay.
Part of the plot in this is after they cure him of this bacteria, he gets told by the doctor that he can save an influential civil rights leader, Shrimply Pibbles. But he has to donate his sex organ.
Yep.
What?
The guy is dying, and to save him, he needs Jerry's sex organ.
A wee-wee.
His schlongadong.
Pedro?
His little Jerry.
Purple yogurt slinger?
Oh.
Oh, wait, what?
Okay, guys, too many nicknames. Too many nicknames here.
Varsity Blues. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. So, but I guess, would that be considered the A plot, or would that be considered the B plot? That's the A plot.
You think that's the A plot?
No, that's the B plot, because the A plot is the interdimensional cable itself.
Yeah,
Usually.
I actually like the episodes with the interdimensional cable, because it's just some weird ideas that they're able to actually get into. Like, one of the shows is Man vs. Car.
Yep,
it's quite literally a man trying to wrestle a car.
The first one, it's a green-haired guy wrestling like a Geo Metro, and he's like getting to the point where he's gonna lift up the car, and then all of a sudden the car gets traction and just runs the dude over.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen, say, is it like Transformers?
No. It's just
like actual car.
Wrestling a car. Yep. And then the next one was some weird aliens that have got like folds on their faces.
The eye holes, yeah.
Yeah, the eye holes. And like it's kind of feeling like a soap opera type thing, and then all of a sudden this superhero guy swoops in and goes, "No, those are my eye holes." And he like gouges them out and like kills them.
Very,
Much.
very gross.
Yeah.
One of the more disturbing commercials in the interdimensional TV is the ice cream parlor.
Ice cream parlor.
Mm-hmm.
What's that one?
The butthole ice cream parlor.
Oh,
Why
okay.
is that a thing? That
All the
sounds
ice cream is excreted from alien creatures' buttholes.
Yep. That is one. The other good one was Little Bits. That was a
Little
good-
bits.
Where it's these big, like, circular-headed guys, and it's a restaurant, and the restaurant's called Little Bits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the dude's walking through the restaurant telling you how much you love the little bits, and there's just plates, and there's, like, little bits of food on it, and there's people picking at it.
what the heck?
Little
This
bits.
sounds bad. No, going off of that pooping one, the ice cream one. What that kind of reminds me of is Horton Hears a Who, and one of the freaking kids on it going, "My world is unicorns and everything poops out rainbows and butterflies."
It also in this one, they one of the shows that Rick stops on is the how it's made, and they tell you how plumbuses are made.
How what?
How a plumbus is made.
Plumbus?
Yeah. It's worth a Google.
No, don't Google it.
Google it.
See, I would, but I don't. My phone's dead.
While you're at it, also Google Eggo Waffles' new blue line of food.
No.
Negative. I've been fooled once by this. I won't fall for it again.
I was gonna say, I found that out in high school.
Yeah. But
Many moons ago.
man, dang it. The one that I wanted to talk about is the Adventures of Mr. Steely.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one right there. It's so it starts off by a guy who's just stealing things from like an office building, people walking down the street, and then you get back to like his storefront basically, and he's like, that's like 4 grapples or like 8 apples, and you can tell that they're just ad-libbing because every time he puts out a number and a name after it, it sounds identical to the one before, but it's Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of one of those things where you're like, Total Recall could still be happening, and we're all tricked.
Except Mr. Poopy Butthole is real.
So you thought.
Guys, I think Mr. is real.
Again,
Hey,
why does it sound so
don't
different
get-
when he says it?
What in the world?
I'll be right back.
Dang it, Matthew, why are you leaving right now? You're supposed to back me up on Mr. because that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
I like Mr. Poopy Butthole. I don't know the episode, so I can't really say anything. But it's a fun word to say.
Yeah, Mr.
Just it sounds different when Joe says it.
Anyway, guys.
Yeah, why does it sound more like metallic?
But that's pretty much all that I had for that one. That episode right there. I mean, Jerry gets to keep his schlong, and we get to watch a bunch of ad-lib shorts.
After he gets mercilessly murdered.
Right? And then he grabbed the end credit scene was he goes in and grabs a box of eye holes, and the superhero alien jumps onto his back and goes, "Those are my eye holes!"
Yeah.
No, we find that he was towards the end of the episode when he goes to stop the guy from getting his schlong. He gets shot 57 times.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
There's a lengthy amount of murder.
Yeah. So, all right. Season 2, Episode 9. Speaking of the purge, Matt, look who's purging. Rick and Morty land on a planet where all the citizens are allowed to commit crimes, including murder, without punishment for one night. This plays on a nice series of movies that have been released called The Purge, where all crimes are allowed. And there's a sick, sadistic glee Rick gets when he finds out, oh, they're purging the hell out of each other.
Also, this is a society of aliens that very much have an Amish look about them.
And they're cat people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I meant like technologically speaking, they're farmers and stuff like that. And then Morty begs Rick to help him rescue Arthritia, a young alien girl, cat girl that he ends up getting a crush on in this episode. You guys, this one I'm the most foggy on. So if there's any highlight moments or thoughts you want to bring up about it.
Well, the funny thing that started this whole thing, they didn't plan on going to this planet for this event. They were flying, and a space bug hits the windshield. And Rick's like, that's okay, I got this. And hits the windshield wiper, and there's no fluid left. They go to the planet to find windshield washing fluid.
Yes.
Morty, release the beast. They are getting overrun, and Rick calls for help from the ship. The ship shoots a little beacon or probe next to them, and out pops these suits for them. They put that automatically attached to them. They allow them to fly, and they have a whole bunch of deadly weapons. And Rick just goes crazy and starts just annihilating everything. All these people coming after them to try to purge them. And at first, Morty's like, no, I can't do this. It's not right. And then he starts letting go like crazy. And Rick is excited that he found his inner rage and all this. And what was the song that was playing when they were doing that?
Oh shit! I don't
Feels good.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, it was "Feels Good."
Yeah. And they go through this whole thing, and he's just letting loose, going crazy. So much so that Rick starts to get scared and has to tase him to get him under control.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I like the part where they're sitting there, and my bad, I didn't realize I put that there. That the chick is sitting there help me, and then Morty's like, we gotta help her, let's help her. So they get to the grandma's house, and then you see the gun go off, and she goes out and steals their what's it called, spaceship?
The ship.
I was gonna say UFO, but I knew that was the wrong word. And then come to find out that was the only thing that she wanted, because she wanted to get off the planet.
Yeah. and then Rick and Morty end up at the lighthouse, and the old guy really wants them to listen to his story.
Good callback, sir.
But they really don't want to listen to the story.
Morty, go ahead and listen.
I will also throw this out there for unmemorable B plots. It was Summer and Jerry trying to father-daughter it up, and it just doesn't work out well.
Why can't we ever talk like, me and Morty? I don't know, Dad.
Jerry has many lost causes in the family.
Well, it ends up in this episode, pretty much, they kill all the rich of the society.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who have basically egged on everybody to kill everyone. The rich were thinking all the poor people would kill all the poor people and there'd just be more rich. But, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the end, where they're like about to leave, and all of a sudden, all the people start to kill each other again.
Yep. And what was it at the end there? Morty is feeling super guilty about killing all those people, and Rick's all like, "Oh, you just ate that purge candy bar, so it really wasn't you. It was just the candy bar." And then they do like a super close up of like this little gold tag on the candy bar that says it's now Purginol free. So Morty really did unleash the beast.
Yeah, he wasn't affected by any chemical or anything. He literally chose to kill people.
Yep.
It's all
it won't be the last time.
It's all that pent up rage that Rick just causes Morty to build inside. But guys, let's round out season 2. And was there anything else in that episode that you guys wanted to mention? Or I think now is a good time to talk about episode 10 of season 2, The Wedding Squanchers. I'm going to read a little bit of this here. Rick and his family attend the wedding of Bird Person and Tammy, whose guest list includes 17 of the Federation's most wanted, including Rick and Bird Person. At the wedding reception, Tammy reveals herself to be a Federation agent and kills Bird Person. Numerous agents invade the building, starting a battle against the guests. Rick gets his family out of the wedding safely, but they are unable to return home as the Federation would be looking for them there. So Rick takes them to a very small... he takes them to a series of different places, starting off with a very small Earth-like planet. Rick overhears Jerry proposing to turn Rick in, and we'll get back to that planet thing in a minute. Turn Rick in and return to Earth, and Rick allows himself to be arrested. His family returns to Earth, which has joined the Federation and is crowded by alien tourists. Jerry is assigned a job by the Federation. One highlight, going back to the whole him and Rick and the family on the run, takes him to like 3 different locations where he thinks they'll be safe from the Federation. One of them, what were the first 2? One of them had screaming sunsets and sunrises. Like there's a face on the sun that is just constantly screaming. It's basically unbearable. So they're like, "Well, we can't stay here," and so they take off. And what was another one? They ended up on the small planet, right? Like that's the last spot they stayed on. What was the other one? There was a second one. I mean, there was a screaming sun, and wasn't there one other one?
Screaming Sun one was the first one, and
Right.
They're all standing in front of the TV with like bloodshot eyes and bags under their eyes, and they're like, "How could we get any sleep with this?" And like the sun comes up, and it's like, "Ah!" And then they go to the tiny planet, and it's like Rick in a snow coat, and he just walks around the planet seriously, and like it changes seasons as he walks because of how small that it is.
Like, yeah, he's literally walking around the planet.
Yep. And Morty's like throwing a frisbee to himself around the planet.
Well, the other planet
was
everything was on a cob.
Oh yeah,
like a corn planet.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So the beginning of the episode was pretty fun. You see, Bird Person. Is this the first time we meet Bird Person, or was he?
It is.
In all of the series, was he not at the house party with all the misconceived feelings about different people? Wasn't he? Maybe.
I don't think he was.
I thought I listed him off as being on there.
No, you remember the house party episode? He was in that one.
Okay.
That's where they introduce him, was at the house party before they have to do the cleanup. So the end of season 1.
Okay. Yeah. No. You guys right.
Where they meet. Yeah.
You meet Bird Person for the first time at the end of season 1.
But Bird Person is Rick's oldest friend.
Yep. And then he just flipping dies right there at the very beginning with when the double agent who he was getting married to reveals herself, and they start taking out all the most wanted. And then Rick, being one of the most wanted in the galaxy, takes his family and runs. They finally settle on one spot. Jerry's talking. Go ahead, Lynn.
In this episode of side characters that get added, Sponge Cat is probably the most notable.
Oh, Squanchy?
Squanchy.
Yes, Sponge Cat. And I will throw this out there. He is voiced by the voice actor for SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes, he is.
Nice.
I would feel off. I would hear SpongeBob and be like, "Where's SpongeBob?"
Right.
I mean, the voice is a little different.
Can I wrap this one up?
Yeah, dude. Let's talk about the end. I want you to go talk about the ending. I know Lynn's been wanting to mention this.
He wants to get to the after credits. I know exactly what he wants. Am I right?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. But after Rick turns himself in, they go back to Earth, which is now under the Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
And everyone has to have an assigned job to work off their debt for different things. Who is it? Someone is on antidepressants.
Oh.
And they have to work off 7,000 credits for the antidepressant pills.
Yeah. And I find it great that towards the end of this episode, it kind of acts like the beginning of the pilot, where they have to go back through kind of like an airport when they come back to Earth. But when they go through the turnstile when they enter Earth, like customs, the Federation does like this weird where they take DNA samples and stuff, and they got to lay their hands on the turnstiles for fingerprints and everything. And then that's that whole thing that Nick's talking about comes into place, where they retell, basically you're judged for your sins of the past. Is what the Federation hits you with. And then that's when Jerry turns into a narc.
Yep.
Oh, what?
Jerry, the total douchebag.
Jerry turns into a narc and just like rats out Rick.
Mm-hmm.
But Rick, he knows that Jerry's an asshole, and he sees it coming. So he kind of turns himself into the Federation and saves Beth and the kids from that life of servitude that they would have had before for not being a narc.
Yep.
Wasn't there something that happened in the after credits here?
Yeah, that's what we're getting to.
Yeah. we're letting it slow burn
Okay.
because it's
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
yeah, Mr. Poopy Butthole. He
Sorry, I just wanted to say that. Sorry.
he hit it, Nick. You go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
Something about a pizza and a pizza guy.
You wanted to do this.
After watching the main events of the Wedding Squanchers on interdimensional TV, Mr. asks the audience what they think will happen in season 3.
In a complete fourth wall break. You.
It's
Wow,
like
that was pretty crazy. What do you think's gonna happen? Then he answers the door. Oh, by the way, he's walking on a crutch because he's still healing from the bullet wounds that Beth caused way back earlier in the season. So he's healing still. Answers the
He's
door.
taking handfuls of painkillers. Just
He's just gobbling them up like jelly beans.
like Tic Tacs.
Goes over, feeds his cat. Doorbell rings, grabs a pizza.
And then he proceeds to ask the pizza guy what he thinks will happen in the next season. Pizza guy's like, "What are you talking about, man?" And then
He gets super about it.
Tackles the pizza guy, ends up rolling on the floor, and then he gets into kind of a fetal position and starts rolling around saying that season 3 will come in a year and a half or maybe longer. Well, we'll have to see what happens. Because at that time, I think they were still waiting on the Adult Swim to finalize pushing forward to the next season. Because they were going season to season, which was why there were such long releases in between.
Mm-hmm.
And it played out pretty accurately because it was about a year and a half, or just over a year and a couple months before season 3 would premiere.
Yeah.
So, October 4th, 2015. 2015 was the end of season 2. And April 1st of 2017 was season 3. So a full year and a half.
Weren't they waiting for like the okay to like make the next seasons? Something?
No, just
well, he actually said it was going to be a year and a half, and it was a year and a half later.
It was exactly a year and a half later that season 3 premiered. It was at the end of season 3 that we waited a full year plus before we finally heard that they renewed Rick and Morty for 70 episodes.
But get this. The gap between season 3 episode 1 and season 3 episode 2 before 5, 6, 7 was 3 months. 3 full months between the episode 1 and episode 2 of season 3.
Because they released it on April 1st. It was a special April Fool's joke episode.
That's awesome.
And then 3 months later, they continued with the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a short little story for me. I got on the bandwagon about 3 episodes into season 3 is when I started watching Rick and Morty for the first time. Prior to it being recommended to me in the past, I didn't. You know what I mean? And what was your history, Lynn? What did you start from day one, 4 or 5 years ago?
I started from the beginning.
And Nick, you jumped on after I had started getting into it, and I started saying, "Dude, you need to check it out," and then you started binging them.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see, Matthew sort of started watching them. As of right now.
Indeed.
So that's kind of where we're at, guys, with this.
If we want to give a long callback, the guy who started the whole thing was Mr. Jeff Berry.
Yes, it was.
Shout out to Jeff Berry.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
He's not dead.
Rest in
All right, guys. Well, that is going to cover our Rick and Morty Season 2 deep dive. Thanks for joining us, guys. Links down below to Part 1 if you want to go check out Season 1's deep dive. We will be doing a Season 3 deep dive probably a couple weeks later. Holidays are right around the corner, so we will probably have a short hiatus on recording things. But that doesn't mean the content's going to stop. We have some things that we're putting out these next 2 weeks, even while we're gone. We'll come back with a regular Nerdentials episode probably sometime after Thanksgiving. But guys, thanks for joining us on these deep dives. Hope you've had fun reminiscing on these episodes as much as we have. Guys, you can real quick go to nerdentialsmedia.com to check out all our other things, our videos, our reviews, and just a brief little shameless plug. Over the next few weeks, there will be spoiler-filled and non-spoiler-filled reviews of each of the Mandalorian episodes from the new Disney Plus service, courtesy of Nick Thomas. So,
Been working hard on it.
So, by the time you're hearing this, there'll at least be 3 or 4 of those episode reviews up on our webpage. So go check them out, guys. And that's going to do it for tonight. For me, Nick, Matthew, and Lynn, this has been your Nerdy Essentials, or your Nerdy Deep Dive. As always, nerds, we will see you on the other side. Oh, man. Swifty.
On the Swifty side, what the?
You know, it sounded cool. We totally could have done that, but it was unplanned. So I'm just gonna keep it that way.
On the Stay Swifty, nerds. Stay Swifty.
Guys, I'm telling you, it's
Swifty.
Mr.
No, it's Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yeah,
it seriously sounds different when you say it.
I just said Mr. Are you guys not hearing it? Mr.
No, it's Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Huh.
Yeah.
It sounds the same. But yeah, alright. Alright.
No.
Mr. Poop